Ladies and gentlemen, we have a statement that we want to issue with regards to the corruption allegations that have rocked the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency. So I will just read that statement. In the past few days, there have been serious allegations leveled against the procurement and handling of COVID-19 protective gear by the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency. Suffice it to say that all Kenyans of goodwill have found these allegations disturbing and thoroughly demoralizing at a time when we are losing more lives to the virus. We have restrained ourselves from responding to these allegations because of our desire to comment from an informed position. We gather that the DCI has been called into KEMSA to investigate these matters. We, however, wonder how this can be so before a credible audit by the Auditor General is carried out to ascertain the veracity of some of these claims. Precedent has been set before where the media goes on a sensationalist extravaganza with half-baked information obtained from shadowy sources, ending up creating more problems than solutions. It is important to note that as far as the prices of PPEs and all the COVID-related supplies go, conventional wisdom must hold that such prices were lower before the COVID-19 ravaged the whole world, and that any procurement happening subsequent to that and in the current circumstances has to come with higher values. Higher prices alone cannot therefore be a basis for doubting the probity of those who undertake those tasks. It is disheartening to hear no less than a senior government official, no less a senior government official than the Deputy President go public with improper statement that at least now nobody will blame me for stealing COVID-19 funds. This statement suggests that it is okay for the funds to be stolen for as long as he is not to blame. Or even more unsettling, it expresses the jealousy of being left out of the gravy train. We have pointed out before that the Deputy President's recalcitrance and lack of political emotional intelligence are a hindrance to the smooth running of government. At a time when he should help the President crack the whip on corruption cartels within government, he holds campaigns at his residence while cheering wrongdoing within government in the mistaken belief that any perceived failures by His Excellency the President will raise his dwindling political fortunes. We must ask the Deputy President to either rise to the occasion and play the role of Deputy President, or ship out and let the President work in peace. We will keep raising any concerns we have with government operations specifically related to the COVID-19 issues through the proper channels without unnecessary drama and hubris. We continue to fulfill our mandate as espoused in the ODM manifesto while remaining cognizant of our role as a unifying agent in Kenyan politics. We will therefore not join the blanket condemnation bandwagon, but will keep probing and defending the right of Kenyans to get government services efficiently and at the right prices. For that reason, we ask that the media houses and other news agencies exercise some responsibility in their coverage, because sensational reports, especially when the process of audit has not been conducted and the investigations are just beginning, may compromise international support for our COVID-19 war, endangering ordinary Kenyans and not just the leaders. Any information on wrongdoing must be passed to the rightful agencies for clear action. One of the things that must be very clear to everyone is that initial reports of wrongdoing can come from any source. It is very well possible that some of the claims that we are hearing are originating from people with vendor interests within KEMSA. It is our position as a party that it would have been best for the procurement of all COVID-related items by KEMSA be subjected to an audit, and that from that audit we can see recommendations for investigation and prosecution for certain individuals, because it is only an audit that can ascertain the veracity of some of these claims. This is not to exonerate anyone who will be implicated in any corruption if they are found to have been involved in any corruption at KEMSA. All we are saying is that we have men and women working within these organizations, careers that are being threatened, careers that are being ended. I believe that in any organization there might be one or two bad apples, but blanket condemnation is what we would like to discourage. So we are calling for an audit prior to those investigations, because investigations before an audit presume criminality where an audit has not established the facts. That is all that we would like to say, and I will take any questions if there are any.
In other words, you're in a way discrediting the story that was done by NTV.
We are not discrediting the story. We are saying that as responsible media houses, you can do your work, but it is for the government agencies to realize that media reports alone should not be the basis of investigation. We believe that if we wanted to get to the bottom of the issues at KEMSA, and we believe we want to get to the bottom of the issues at KEMSA, criminal investigations should be preceded by an exhaustive audit, because as I've told you, there are many interests in these matters, Ken. It is possible that some of the claims that we see are motivated by vendor interests that might not necessarily come to light in a TV program, which is why we are saying that we need an audit by the Office of the Auditor General, because aside from the annual audits that the Auditor General is supposed to perform on government agencies, there are continuous auditing that is performed by that office. So we are inviting the Office of the Auditor General to first of all ascertain the veracity of these matters. And on the issue of TV reports, for instance, Ken, somebody coming up and saying the price of the phone you are holding is supposed to be X or is supposed to be Y. It is something that has to be brought out at an audit, because the truth of the matter is, at the inception of this pandemic, prices of these items, because there was no demand, they were lower than at the height of at the peak of the pandemic, and that you cannot even compare prices now and then. So if somebody shows up today, and we can actually do this experiment with you, and tells you that I can actually supply this Samsung phone you're holding at 10 shillings, and another one says if you want a Samsung phone it has to be 10,000 shillings. It is possible through a process of audit to actually ascertain whether the person who's saying he can sell it to you at 10 shillings is in a position to actually supply. We saw in the US at the beginning of this pandemic, Governor Cuomo of New York complaining that in fact the states had been left to bid against each other in the procurement of PPEs, and that, for instance, if California was to bid 100 shillings per mask and New York is bidding 90 shillings per mask, the supplier will take the product to the highest bidder. And he was actually proposing for a central procurement by the federal government to remove that situation where the counties or the states are bidding against each other. So what we believe is that a proper audit by the Office of the Auditor General will bring out all these facts, and then in that audit, if there are criminal proceedings to be taken, it will be on the basis of the audit and not bringing the cat before the horse by starting by criminal investigations.
Sifuna kwa Kiswahili.
Naam. Naam.
Vyombo vya habari viliweza kupeperusha hii habari kuhusiana na kile kinachodaiwa kuwa corruption katika halmashauri ya KEMSA.
Naam.
Mnakashifu hiyo ripoti, hiyo habari, ama ni lipi ambalo nyinyi mnauliza kama ODM?
Hatuja kashifu hiyo habari. Tumesema kama chama, iwapo tunataka tujue ukweli wa masuala ambayo yaliibuliwa na kipindi cha NTV pale KEMSA, ni muhimu tujue tunaanzia wapi. Ripoti hiyo ya KEMSA, vile ambavyo ameeleza mwenzangu hapa, ilisaidia kufichua kwamba kunaweza kukuwa na tatizo fulani hapa katika ile procurement ya PPEs. Lakini unapoenda the next step inafaa kuwa ni nini? Tunasema yule ambaye ni mkaguzi wa mahesabu ya serikali ni muhimu angekuwa wa kwanza, yeye kwanza atathmini hii ripoti ambayo iliibuliwa na vyombo vya habari, ili kuweza kujua kwamba zile stakabadhi kwa mfano ambazo tuliona ni stakabadhi za kweli, na kwamba kuna taabu mahali, kwa sababu hapo nyuma tunajua kwamba yule mkaguzi wa mahesabu wa serikali ndio mwenye kuibua haya maswala. so that by the time tunaenda kwa ule uchunguzi na mashirika kama DCI ya kutafuta shida iliyopo, kama kulikuwepo na ulaghai fulani, basi wanafanya hiyo uchunguzi kulingana na yale mahesabu ambayo yamekaguliwa na yule ambaye ni mkaguzi wa stakabadhi za serikali. Hiyo ndo tumesema. Hatujamkemea mtu yoyote. Hatujasema kwamba tunaunga mkono ufisadi. Najua wengine wataenda kusema tunatetea wafisadi. Hatutetei wafisadi sisi, na sisi tunataka wakabiliwe. Hatujakemea kituo chochote cha habari. Tumesema baada ya hiyo habari nzuri ambayo iliibuka, vitengo vya serikali ambavyo vinafaa kupewa kipaumbele kuchunguza madai haya, tuanze kwanza na yule ambaye ni mkaguzi wa mahesabu ya serikali, ndio hivi vitengo vingine kama DCI waje baada ya hapo. Nadhani tumeelewana pale. Tumeelewana? Okay. Asante sana.